hidden treasures of the 119th Psalm. So we are going on a treasure hunt, and the gold we are seeking in this treasure hunt is actually the face of God, pure light. So join us taking this deep dive mining with King David in the 119th Psalm. Well, in our house building project here in the 119th Psalm in the Bet version today, we're going to talk about this is a fascinating thing. Once again, when it gets to the fourth verse, or we get halfway through this section on Bet, once again, King David levels up. And this is really an amazing thing. Really is an amazing thing. Verse 12 almost comes along and shocks you as it's so different from the other verses so far in the psalm. But it makes perfect sense when you realize we're talking about the letter Bet, which is this whole section of these 8 verses. And here in 12, he pauses to say the Barach. He stops to bless God. And so I don't know if you're aware, but it's a beautiful thing that the Jews, they bless God after they eat. They often bless God before they eat, but really they're thanking him for the food. And so it's not unusual at all that they would say a blessing, and especially on Shabbat and during high holy meals, they're going to bless God at the end of the meal. In other words, say, "Blessed art thou, O Lord," right? Because they want God to feel the joy that they're feeling for having experienced such a meal. Well, if you think about the previous verse where King David, or the previous 3 verses really, where King David is talking about, right, seeking him with a whole heart and then hiding his word in his heart. In other words, David's had a meal here. So he stops to show us is that and I really have thought about this ever since I thought, realized what he did here is, wow, after we take in a meal of the word, in other words, God has given us some wonderful thing that in our mining adventures or whatever that has blessed our soul. Wow, how cool is it to stop and bless him? Like, man, thank you, God. And so here's what David does. He said, "Blessed art thou, O Lord." In other words, he is pausing here to say, that meal, those words that I treasured up in my heart, thank you. Like, man, it's an amazing little note that I really love to think about as I come to this particular verse, which is the halfway point. And again, in order to level up, David realizes this is God. It's going to be God that's going to take me to the next level. So he stops, he blesses God, and then he hits him with a tough question. Teach me thy statutes. And as we've talked about before, the statutes are the high, hard ones, right? Those are the ones that really he struggles to know, like the one that he shouldn't have allowed his friend Uzzah to touch the ark, that killed him. In other words, these are the most difficult commandments, and it's kind of fun to go through the scriptures and pick out statutes and go, okay, well, this one, is not making a lot of sense to me. Well, that's what David is asking right here. He's saying, look, since I have been so blessed by all that you've given me, give me more, right? To those who have been given, more will be given. And so King David is acknowledging here, wow, have I received, God? I've hidden up your word in your heart. And now give me the good stuff. Give me those statutes that I'm really, really longing to understand. I'm really longing to be able to do. And then he uses the word teach. And that word teach in Hebrew is almost like love, because it's a similar thing that your heart, it loves to learn, and you love to find out about people that you love. And so when he's saying teach me, this is an act of love. In other words, as I am trying to find out more about you, God, I'm really seeking you with my whole heart. He's coming back in there and saying, look, I want to love you more. And in order to love you more, I need to understand you more, and I need to see things the way that you see them, like you would on that date we've talked about before, right? You're sitting there in the candlelight and you're looking deep into your lover's eyes and you're asking him questions because you want to know him better. You want to get closer to him. You want to join with him. You want to have communion with him. And so when he's saying here, teach me your statutes, this is really a love request. This is something that's coming from a deep place. And I think it's absolutely beautiful as we think about it. Next time that we get a nugget from God or we get a choice morsel, whatever it is that just wows you, stop and bless him and then say, teach me more, Lord. This is so awesome. And again, thank you for mining with me today in the Bet section of the 119th Psalm.